Well, a very, very warm welcome to everyone this afternoon for our Raylam chat on what's next. For those who don't know me, my name is Kim Truebody. I'm Associative Head for the Pre-Prep at Raylam. And as well as I'm an ordinary mom of two boys who keep me on my toes most days. As you know, boys are very, very busy, especially during the lockdown period, and juggling everything else alongside as being a mom and educator and a wife. We are very excited for this afternoon with a live discussion with Catherine Collingwood and Renee Lighton. So as we all know, it's quite a whirlwind that we've been through, especially in the education sector. Not only for schools, but for educators and parents and our precious children. During this period, we've had to wear many hats and juggle a multitude of tasks on a daily basis, parents, educators alike. And some days were obviously more challenging than most, and some days you woke up and you said to yourself, I've got this, it's a great day, and we're going to be positive. We've experienced so much uncertainty during this time, but for me, a positive during this time has been that we've learned to be quite resilient as well as flexible and adaptable, which has been quite amazing tools to have during this time period. Today's discussion is a very much a live interactive platform. So to all of you that are watching, please use the comments to be able to ask questions during the discussion with Renee and Catherine so they can answer you and make it as collaborative as possible for us. And then in today's discussion, we'll be talking about skills that we've developed during this time, as well as challenges that we'll be possibly facing as we go throughout this pandemic in the education sector as well as our lives, and how we can prepare ourselves as well as our children. And then in essence, what is next? Do we know what's next? Do we know what's even coming? So a little bit about our two speakers today. So Renee Lighton actually joined us during our lockdown period going online, which some of us haven't even met her in the flesh and more on a virtual platform, which was quite an amazing way to meet someone because the connections and relationships are so alive during this time. A little bit more about Renee. She actually conducted a few professional development sessions with our educators and gave them tools that inspired them and equipped them during the lockdown period and becoming online teachers, which wasn't our natural go-to. And she actually inspired us to be courageous and take the step and be warriors during that time, which was what we all needed to be able to facilitate and guide our children through the online process. And then our dear Catherine Collingwood, who has been part of our Raylam family from the start. She started with us in 2018. She inspires us, collaborates with us, and trains our Raylam Edu mentors in the Reggio Emilia inspired approach in our early learning. So without further ado, I would like to welcome, a warm welcome to our lovely ladies, Renee and Catherine.
Thank you, Kim.
A warm welcome, lovely ladies. You are such a part of our Raylam family. I can't tell you how special you are to us. So we are so excited to have you join us this afternoon for this live discussion. As we've said, it is an interactive one, so we hope that we have many questions that come our way this afternoon and that parents utilize this opportunity to ask those questions that they are wanting answers for. Maybe we can help them, maybe we can give them tools to equip them for the way forward. But I think let's get started. So over to you two.
Catherine.
Thank you. So as Kim said, I'm Catherine, or Kath, and it's really wonderful to be part of this community for this afternoon. I think that's really one of the things that this time of lockdown and this time of the pandemic has really brought home to me is how much community there is, how many connections there are, and that's been a very important resource for me to draw on during these last months. As Kim said, I've been part of training the Edu mentors in a Reggio Emilia inspired approach, which is basically an approach that comes from a town in Italy that over the last 80 years or so has developed a way of working with children based on what their inquiries are, what they are fascinated by, and with a sense of 100 languages that we have, not just one or two, that we have the language of sculpture, the language of painting, the language of drawing, the language of sport, the language of science, the language of maths, the language of poetry, and that if we draw on all of these with our children, they will have a very, very fulfilling experience of learning. It will be a joyful process for them. So that's just a little bit about me. Renee?
So, thanks, Catherine. So my journey is as an educator and as a mum, and having studied and played and worked in many schools, some very resourced, some not so resourced. I think my best training has been really around coaching and about mindset. So, you know, after 8 years of teaching, I've studied 10 years in a classroom. What I learned there was, many years later, if I had had the skill sets I learned when I learned about coaching skills, about mindset, heart set, hand set, I would probably have been a much better teacher. However, the void has reminded me of what I can, what is of value today. And this time, especially, like Catherine, I think this time for us is, how do we go on this journey together, and keep this connection even though we are so far apart? So the masks will come off, the memories will last forever. And I think that's what, we want that conversation to be like. So hello, Sally and Lana and Charlotte, we see you. And I think the idea about what is next, around foundation phase, Catherine. So what do you feel we're doing well right now? In conversation. So what do you feel we're doing well right now?
Yeah. Are there things that you are surprised by that you've been able to do in this time? Strengths that perhaps you didn't realize you had? We thought it would just be good to start off from that foundation of what strengths have we built during this time, realizing that at moments we might not have felt strong at all, might have felt pretty anxious, pretty vulnerable, pretty uncertain. But through that, what strengths do you think you might have developed in the last while?
So So I think we can use the chat. So please, the people that are on, use your chat. I think if you let us see, because we can see all your comments. What are the skills that you've learned? So I know so Lana, thank you. I can see the new tech skills. So please, I would love everyone to know that this is my first Facebook Live. I'm 60 and I'm my first Facebook Live. So, I had set goals for this year. One of them being that I would swim in at least 60 different swimming pools or see things this year, which I don't think is going to happen given our restrictions. So I've changed my goal, and I think that's what that's the foundation that we are laying as parents and as educators, is that the ability to be flexible. So I'm going to show you, and hopefully you can see this word that says shift. I think for me, what I've learned most is that I have an ability to shift. And if I don't use that, if the F isn't in there for the foundation, you know what the word will say, yes? So I'm choosing to shift, and I'm loving and seeing so many parents and so many educators saying, well, education looked like this. Regio, your classrooms looked like this. And now they don't look like this anymore. They don't look like that anymore. I saw something, a post today in the newspaper, which showed a poorer school being really creative and curious and innovative around creating their little space with canvases and with, and providing a safe kind of PPE for their children. And I think that's what I've loved seeing, that the shift we've had to make has invited flexibility, curiosity of what I can do better. So the win, this one, sorry, the win, saying, okay, so what is needed so that we can do even better? What is needed? What I need, what is needed for my children? What is needed in my family? And that, I think, is what I've really liked. And I've seen a lot of that, Catherine. So, yeah. So, Charlene, so I just saw something
I'm
there.
just noticing, Renee,
Yeah.
Patience is coming up. Yes, I'm looking at the chat. I see patience is coming up quite a bit, that's been a quality that's been learned. And then something about brain development. Renee, you like that one? All about how the brain is wired.
Yeah.
That care and love is important for healthy brain development.
And I also see Tanya's comment, how adaptable our kids are. And thank you for that comment, Tanya, because I think when we become fixed as parents, as adults, we think, we take a stance. I send my child to the Montessori, to the Reggio, to the, previously Model C, what all of those, this is what it must look like. And right now, we need to dance more. We need to dance and be flexible so that we co-creating as we go along. Because we are not in charge of the DBE, the Department of Education. We only can be in charge of ourselves and create more of what we want for our families. Yeah. So, Catherine, something from you?
I see Shane. Thank you for your input. Renee, Shane is saying that working from home and having a daughter at home, whilst they've done a lot of activities, they've also noticed that she's become isolated and depressed, and their choice was to take some leave so that they could put the focus on her. And I think that just reminds me of what you said about making choices. That must have been a difficult choice to make, to step back from work and to focus on your child. I think, not everybody can do that, but I think that's been quite a challenge for all parents, how to be in work mode, which sometimes requires a kind of professional persona, and be the parent almost simultaneously, because I know it's certainly hard to keep that door closed. I don't know if you'd say anything about some strategies around that, Renee, and for children who might be feeling a bit isolated and anxious and missing out on playing with friends.
So I think definitely, I think what I've learned too at this time is that everyone's experience of this time is different. And our ability to listen, and also our ability to ask rather than assume, to ask how are you feeling, how are you experiencing this time? And so that question, that answer, that comment about being depressed and sad and missing. So what are you missing? And let's make a list. So I'm a great believer, like, in lists, in writing or drawing what you're feeling with a kid, and for myself, because when I name it, we have a saying, when you name it, you can tame it. You get to see it. It's like, what is missing, and then realizing that then what can I do? Because what I like is that we have we can identify. Identify and recognize. So it's that ruler system. If you use the ruler and use the acronym ruler, it's like you recognize the emotions. You recognize how you are feeling. You actually name it. Then you understand why. Oh, well, it's because I'm missing my friend. So if I can't physically see them, what could I be doing? Could I be having a chat? Could I be having a Zoom? Could we have a dance off together on Zoom, not only just chat, but what can I be doing? So it's recognizing, understanding what I'm missing. It's labeling it and saying, yeah, okay, so that's there. And then how do I want to feel? I hope that's making sense. And then the E is, how do I express that? And then how do I, the ruler is, how do I reframe this so I'm not stuck in that feeling? I acknowledge it, you know, and I accept it. And then what can I do about it? How can I act to make up for that, or not to make up for that, another word. So the responsibility is with me. So how do I affirm my child that you have what it takes to get what you want, if that makes sense? Because we live in a world where, you know, we often look to someone else to make me happy. We look to something else. And I like that kids actually, you know, we demonstrate that. We demonstrate that in our behavior and in our thinking, our speaking, our being, and our doing. That it's okay to feel this, and if you want to feel something different, I have the ability, you know, to choose something different. So I'm not sure if that helps. And the thing about time, Shane, I like the other dancing is a great idea. I love dancing. So me, Johnny Clegg, fabulous. If I'm feeling Ms, I put Johnny Clegg on and I'll dance up a storm on my own. So I think that as parents, we can guide our kids. You know, when I feel like this, when I feel there's a mess, there's a little message, and I have the ability, to shift that, because it's the shift that I want to encourage. Yeah, I want to encourage that I have that. The what's inside, the win is what's inside, what's important now, what is needed. You know, it could be who I need. So today I may be feeling Ms, and I may need to, need to phone Catherine. I may say to Catherine, today it's a challenging day. You know, I'm juggling 10 things. You know, can I tell you about it? And I know Catherine won't fix it, but she'll listen. So over to you, Catherine.
And then that's also striking me, Renee, that Shane and all the other parents you're putting in input here is how attuned you are to your children. And I think that that's such a beautiful gift to give to them in this time, is just that the first thing is that you really are listening into them. And it sounds as if you're not only listening to their words, but you're listening to their gestures, you're listening to their feelings. And I think that conveys itself to children, just that feeling of being attended to. When you're tuning into them, you might feel like you're not getting it right, as some of you have said, and you're trying, not quite sure if it's the right thing. But I think that underneath all of that, all of the action, that atmosphere that you're creating of striving and attending, being attentive, I think that communicates a lot of safety to children. I see something is coming up around time management and structure, and I've been thinking about rhythm, and then you were talking about dancing, Renee, and wondering in this time, how possible has it been for you to have a rhythm to the day? It's slightly different to a routine. You know, it sounds to me like you as parents are keeping the heartbeat and keeping the beat going for the children to return to. But I just wondered whether, Renee, do you have any ideas about that time management, structuring, rhythmic feeling for a day?
So I also see Lara's comment, which is saying, you know, it's really hard when you're working at the same time to listen to your child and to juggle your clients. And I must say, my heart goes out to our parents who are juggling work, young children, clients, home. I mean, really, that's why I said everyone's experience is not the same. And, you know, I like the word forgive, because it is like, you know, I think parents said in one of our last parent chats, you know, the parents said, I feel really guilty. And so parents, I want to just, you know, gift this to you. Forgive yourself. Because we're never going to be perfect. You are never going to tick every box. And for as long as you keep trying, you know, you keep this idea, you know, this this picture in your mind that it has to, that this is work as before. It's not work as before. And your boss, your client, your employers, your employees need to understand that. This is a very new way of working. And so forgiving yourself is a really wise way to move forward into your day. Otherwise, you're going to be staying stuck in your guilt from yesterday. You're going to start every day feeling guilty. You're going to go to bed every day feeling guilty. So forgive yourself, and then say to yourself, the word forgive, like forgiving, like this time, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and then think of all the things that you are grateful for, because we are learning new skills, and our kids are building resilience, and we are too. And in time management sits the ME, time, TIME is me. And we, I think, mustn't be afraid of, as parents, having the ability to say, what I need now, what I need now is 10 minutes on my own. Here's the timer. So parents, if you have not used the timer as a strategy in your home, I invite you to use the timer. So in the beginning is like to say, we're going to set the timer for 2 minutes, and you're going to go into a room, and when the timer goes off in 2 minutes, that's 2 minutes, and mommy's had her time and you've had your time. So really, I'm going to encourage a timer, and I'm encouraging you to set up a routine that your children can see, a schedule where if you've got littlies, there are pictures of what needs to be done. All the children will have a list. So I think that's something that I've seen work well. Even photographs of your child doing what is needed, in the rhythm of, this is what we're going to do this morning. This is what we're going to do this afternoon. This is when we're going to take our breaks. This is what we're going to do. What do you want to do in your breaks? So I think, those are a few of the things. And I know there's not one person, there's great wisdom in the room. So it's just not one person that's going to be able to answer.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that idea of the rhythm to the day, and how if you've had time, or if you are able to print out photographs of your child doing different things, there could be a few left to the side that they then choose from to say, in this slot, I'm going to do this. So then you've got a mixture of so much screen time, so much guilt. This for me has been one of the huge difficulties of the lockdown. I was speaking to my sister-in-law the other day, and I thought it was a little bit funny because she said something about, my brother and she we'd been working so hard that the children have just been left to their own devices. And I thought that's so true of this time for those who've got devices, that that's been tough, monitoring the use of screen time. And I just wondered whether there have been ways amongst us as a community that you found useful around screen time.
Around screen time. So for often screen time.
Maybe we could wait for those comments.
Okay, happy.
Charlotte, I'm just thinking, if we wait for those ideas that I know are amongst this community, we could maybe look at Charlotte's question. Would you advise the timer for 3-year-olds as well? Because my 3-year-old has become very clingy.
So as parents, we we teach our children to brush their teeth for 2 minutes twice a day. Catherine, yes? So it's high on our value list. So it's not 20 seconds. Well, the timer,
yeah,
the time is So in time sets that me management. It sets me, the ME, the me management. And I think, we've used timers quite successfully, whether it's an egg timer, time on your device, you got to choose.
Yeah, because I think that it's a sort of external way of helping the child understand that this feeling will end. That feeling, maybe what's underneath the clinginess, a little bit of anxiety or frustration or worry or tiredness, but is a state of arousal for the child. And something like a timer, or it could be maybe it's a piece of music or a few bars of music, that if you repeat over and over again, the child will begin in their body to feel what 2 minutes feels like. And they know, okay, this feeling will come to an end. Because children have a very eternal sense of time. So it can feel for them like something that's happening now is just never, ever going to end. Yeah, yeah.
And I think
suggestions are coming through. Yes, Lara is saying it could also be a song or a playlist. Yeah, yeah.
So can I jump in on Megan's
and
comment?
Lana is suggesting, yes.
Sorry, Catherine.
Yes.
So yes, I saw Lana's box of recyclables, tapes, lovely. And I see here, Megan was just saying, our children feed off our emotions, and many days it's a choice to be positive. And I quite like that, the choice. And so if you've played with me before, you'll know that I love to use bed. Yep, my ba, my da. Because I think as adults, as the parents, the ba and the da, we teach children the difference between the ba and the da, and we say, oh, make your bed. I think for us as adults, this is such an incredible tool. So it sits in our hands, our wellness, our health sits in our hands. So the ba and the da is how I begin my day, parents and educators. And if you are beginning your day at the same time as your child, my invitation to you is get up 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes earlier. And think about, just like have some time on your own to settle this, to align this thinking, speaking, being, and doing. What is your vision, your not your virus, your vision for today, so that you are ready to receive your children. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned for myself, is that just this, even if it's just 5 minutes before, if I am prepared in my space, if I have taken those deep breaths, if I have, I light a candle. So, if I've had my good cup of coffee and I feel ready, I'm ready to receive all those emotions that are going to pop up when they get up, yes? And I want to be sure that my emotions, that I've channeled them, funneled them, decided what I want to have. And so my way I begin my day and the way I end my day, the ba and the da, the ba and the da, is so important because, it's the da, the ending of our day to parents. It's just like, it's so important because how I go to bed is what's going to stay in my subconscious. And I want to go to bed not saying, oh, I should have, could have, I didn't. I want to go to bed saying, you know what, Renee, you read a story today. You're a successful mom. You fed your children. They're fed and watered, because there will be days that you will just feed and water them. And then there'll be days that you just hit it and it's fine. And I think that's what I'm saying about, thank you for the word forgive, forgiving and forgiving, the two, the balancing of that. And it really, it's about our balance. The ba is about our balance. And we as parents have to choose that. And, no one taught me that. I think for me, that's what Regio does. And I think that's what the schools that are a little bit out there inviting us, is the way to be curious about building and boosting more than just, well, I would say, like more than just vomiting up a curriculum that they tick. This is a time of a life curriculum. This is a time where I go, I can let go and say, okay, so what can I control and what do I need to let go of? And to be at peace with that, because if I'm being a man at peace with that, it's good. But if I'm keep fighting it, big challenge. So
yeah, I think it's just striking me that we are all in a big inquiry. Reggio Emilia Inspiration is about inquiry-led learning. And actually this time has brought us all together into a common inquiry, which sometimes, it often doesn't happen that often, that there could be so many people thinking about the same sorts of things, even though it's affecting us differently. So in the same way that Reggio Emilia approach sees children as competent, curious, so are parents. You are competent, you're curious, you're striving, you want to learn through this. And I think that just that intention gives a lot of power and strength to how you're building your resilience at this time. And I can see that Bernadine's put some ideas on for screen time. She says she uses tickets. They get 3 game tickets and 3 TV tickets a day to use. And it works like a charm. Yeah, Charlotte's saying that's a great idea. Is one ticket for one story or for a specific time? I was also wondering that.
And Kate, what we're seeing is, yes,
I'm sure Bernadine will come up.
Yeah, sorry. Catherine and Kate is saying it's really hard waking up early when your children wake up at 5 o'clock. Yes, Kate. I have no answers for you, but I hear you. It is tough, and you're working at night to catch up. So I'm wondering if there's another strategy someone can help you with, something that may be different, because that is your reality. And so you acknowledge it, you affirm it, you accept it, and then like what other actions can you take to make sure that you are prepared? Because when we wake up and we're not prepared, and it gets those emotions and all get thrown, it's a big challenge to deal and to hold that.
I'm reminded, Renee, of something you said about reaching out. If there's one person you could phone during the day to say, oh my gosh, I'm really feeling tired, and the kids woke up again at 5 and I was up again till 2 trying to finish off my deadlines. Just someone to just at least be able to share that with, as one step of caring for yourself at that time. Of course, if you have a partner in the home, maybe you could try negotiating different days for who gets up early with the children. I know that's a challenge when some children only like to be with one particular parent at that time, but that's something. Maybe even at 5 a.m. is the time when, maybe that's the one time when you speak to your gran or grandpa on FaceTime while your mom gets another half hour sleep. I'm not sure how you're scheduling connecting with other family members. Those are just a few of the things I could think of.
So I think that's what we,
Yeah, as Laura's saying, you only have one parent.
Yeah. So I think that this time is definitely what it's inviting in us is like, so how do we think differently? How do we really stay curious and not just accept, but actually just invite a way of thinking and asking our friends, asking others, what's working for you? This is my challenge. How do you see it? Because often when we're in it, we can't see it. It's like when you work on business. If you're in your business, you can't see what's happening. You need, it's wise to work on your business. You need to almost be the observer in your family. You're the observer of yourself, the observer of what's happening, because the emotional connections often keep us tied to behaving in the same way. And we don't see that there could perhaps be a different way. And so that's what's so great about having a good friend, someone that can look, or an outsider that you can say, this is what's not working. This is what I'm thinking, and you can kind of flesh it out together.
Yeah. Okay, I see that we are through our allotted time, but we're happy to stay on for another 5 minutes or so. If there's anything else that anyone is sitting with, or maybe you've had an idea that's come to you that relates to our conversation, to feel free to put it up on the chat. I wonder, Renee, if you would like any any final words of comfort, encouragement, just before we go?
Thank you, Catherine. So I think for me, the topic was what's next, foundation phase. And as we've mentioned before, we are not in charge of the education department. However, we are in charge of ourselves. And that foundation is so important. And so I would really just the invitation, the win is what invitation now? What's important now? What is next now is for us to just sit down and positively prepare and engage with what we want to see more of in ourselves and our children, spiritually, mentally, socially, emotionally, physically, financially, and in our community. What can we build on? What foundation are we laying? And how do we lay that in a purposeful, playful, magical way to make these memories really special? And that if we are having challenges, it's like we don't, not to beat yourself up, but to reach out and say, I need help. Because there is always, my belief system is that there's always someone who is willing to give you a hand up, and so find that person, find those people, find your tribe, find your community who are not judging, who are really like we're emotional detectives. We're not in judgment. We are investigating because this is an incredible time in history. Who have the same, stick with the people who lift you up, and where you don't feel judged, and rather feel valued, and make sure that you contribute as well as receiving their contribution.
Thank you, Renee. I see I would have to probably say last question from Megan, that I struggle to motivate my little 4-year-old to do activities related to schoolwork. And I'm just wondering there, Megan, whether it's possible, whether you have the time, the energy to kind of interpret what the lesson is and then find your own ways to engage your child around that. So if the lesson is around, around counting, whether, you might think, okay, that's what the principle of it is. What can I do outside around counting? Can we make a hopscotch space for ourselves? So that if you've got time and energy to do that, you maybe can do the curriculum lightly and in your own way and knowing what she enjoys. I'm also wondering, Lana, whether you offer a space now that you've gone back to school, to the school place, whether there's still a space for people to ask questions about how they're doing at home. We'll see. Oh, you can kick a ball back and forth to count.
Yeah.
It's great. I'm learning every day here. Yeah?
So can I jump in quickly, Catherine?
But yes.
Okay, so just in terms of like the counting.
Jump in.
So I'm jumping in. Is like if you a box of Smarties. So if you don't want to eat Smarties, and you do goji berries and nuts, you can do that. But a box of Smarties, whatever your child loves, they'll be invested in. They'll be wanting to investigate. So you can count, you can estimate, you can sort, you can do patterns, you can shake and break them. You can do position, put it in front of you, behind you, next to you, under your tongue. So all the concepts, I'm going to invite parents, like, what are your children, what is it that your children love? Because that way you teach through what they love. It's really quite easy. So Erin, got the Smarties, yay.
So,
yes. Or Lego. Yeah, there's so many different ways.
I'm thinking of the sugar rush. I know my preference would be Smarties, but so perhaps I'll, yeah, of course. Perhaps we need to wrap up now. But just to say, I hope everybody saw what Lana was saying, that there are daily Zooms and lots of connection and one-on-ones that are available for particular questions about how you're doing it at home. And really what's striking me from this conversation is, again, just how resilient all these ideas that are flooding in from you, the inquiry that's going on, the ideas that are being brought in relation to the inquiry is so Reggio Emilia. There's so many of the Reggio Emilia values in that. So it just seems like there's a strong alignment with inquiry-based learning and what you're managing to do at home. So that really, again, just warms my heart and just confirms for me how adaptable, resilient, competent we are in how we're facing this common challenge. So, Minecraft.
Nice.
School in the evenings. Counting pasta. Yes, Shane, I think this session is recorded. I think Paul did say it's recorded. That's it, Christina, to say, okay, so today it didn't go as well as I'd hoped, but there's always tomorrow. Okay. Kim, do you perhaps want to say goodbye?
Oh, lovely ladies, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your wonderful time this afternoon. As a mom, as a parent, as an educator.
Thank you everyone for your thank yous.
Your valuable insights and input, ideas is just so amazing and positive. So a heartfelt thank you from our side. And thank you to everyone for contributing to the discussion and the live comments. It really helps us to be able to help those that are struggling and those questions that are needing answers. And we might not have all the answers, but you know, we all can try as a community to help you through this time. And then for everyone that's joined in today, a heartfelt thank you to you that's listened. It's been a wonderful discussion filled with inspiring ideas and thoughts. And this is a new journey for all of us. We're embarking on uncharted waters. And Renee, going back to your win, what do we need right now in every day? And choosing to be adaptable and flexible as we go, but at the same time to be brave and courageous and remember that our children are watching us as we go every day. And yeah, let's choose to be brave during this time. But lovely ladies, thank you. Thank you to everyone for watching, and we wish you a lovely evening.
Stay warm and dry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.